Sometimes I stay like this under the winter sun for up to an hour, getting familiar with every part of the tree before I make a plan of how to style it. And then I make a backup plan or even two in case something doesn't work as I thought. I was finally able to get a Kishu Chinese juniper 4 months ago, and I let it untouched to fully acclimate in my garden. I have to say, upon first sight, I immediately fell in love with this variety's foliage, which I now consider to be my favorite juniper foliage. This tree is quite full and it completely creates a great number of possible styling options, making a final decision a time-consuming process. I'll start by cleaning off the parts of the tree that do not have green tips. Even though this tree looks good, it's been neglected and the foliage grew out away from the trunk and got dense, and lots of the inner parts that were shaded got rejected. This cleanup took more than an hour to finish. After this styling, more sunlight will hit the interior and back buds like this will be able to grow and replace some of the foliage that it is far away from the trunk. When I decided to purchase this tree, I had in mind that this lower branch will become a nice and interesting gene. And 4 months later, I still stand by this decision, even though I'd like to grow out its foliage, make it a bit thicker, and get some cuttings for propagation in the meantime. Then this is why I'm wiring it to create some more interesting movement uh, in order for the gene to be better. I've wired the branches in the middle of the tree down so that I'm able to get a clear view of the apex. Initially my plan was to make the apex from this branch, which has more than enough foliage to make a decent full apex instantly, but now I believe that I can bend down in place the actual apex of the tree and get an even better result instantly. Now it's time to remove some branches to let the silhouette of the trunk become visible from the front of the tree. And this, of course, will become cuttings, as now is one of the best seasons for juniper cutting propagation. Double checking my plan before I remove the branch that was initially going to make the apex. I am placing aluminum wire around the trunk that is going to be bent down into a more compact apex, but that wire is not going to do much of the bending. This is in place just so that it keeps the fibers of the bark from splitting during bending. I think I can make this bend without using raffia, just heavy wire tightly wound. As you notice, I'm not making jeans as I remove the branches. I prefer to seal the wounds and make the jeans in a year or so. I believe that in this way sap will flow and fill in the stumps and harden the wood with natural resins, resulting in a more stable gin for decades to come. This guy wire will do the bending, and while I put the apex down in steps, I'm concentrated in these areas. This is where the trunk might split while bending. The upper armpit between the trunk and each branch on the outside of the bend. Even though a small split is not the end of the world, a big one will create problems in the long run. Before placing every branch into place, I will put some wire around the branches that won't be part of the tree, but I couldn't remove this time. These foliage will be removed from the tree in steps over the next 18 months, but for now it is in the way of estimating the proper position for the foliage. I have done all of the wiring off camera, of course, so I'm just going to be placing the foliage in fast speed, starting not traditionally from the apex, which will dictate where everything else should go. So this is where the tree stands for now, and I'm going ahead with repotting all at the same time with this pot, or perhaps even better, this one. The soil looks okay, a bit compacted in some places, which will deprive the tree from oxygen. But I did see some perlite in there, which I guess was good. Now, I really like the final result, and even though I could not remove all of the unnecessary foliage in order to get a pleasing final result, I can use a bit of Photoshop and see what the tree would look like if I could remove all of the unnecessary foliage. And now with the parts that will eventually become Jean and Sari, and of course a more compact and conical foliage silhouette. Thank you for your time.